Welcome everyone to another episode of Vibing with Grayy. My goal for this show is to inspire, impact, and empower all the young lives that are out there seeking transformation. So on today's episode, I wanted to focus on the teen spirit, why teens behave the way they do, what usually challenges them, or what makes them have a good drive in their life. So I decided to invite a very powerful guest, Miss Bini. She's the founder of the Teen for Empowerment program, and I'd like her to tell us more about the program so that we can start on the theme of the day.
Yeah, I like the way, Clara, you said that why do teens behave the way they do? And this is the time where I want to tell everyone out there who are listening that somehow adolescents are always labeled as argumentative, rebellious, they don't even have an eye contact, they are misunderstood. So I'm going to tell everyone out here, wipe the slate clean, all right? Adolescents are just beautiful beings trying to figure out a way to move forward in the life that is given to them, all right? Let's understand why is it that sometimes it's difficult. And actually it is said that the age group of 9 to 19, the adolescents, is the most difficult age group to work with out of as an entire human being, cloth, So the reason that I believe is that there is let's look at the neuroscience behind the teenage brain. Okay, the prefrontal cortex, that's the part of your brain which is the rational thinking part of your brain, the CEO of your brain, that completely develops at the age of 25. Okay, so that also means that our teenagers are actually functioning from their amygdala, which is the emotional part of the brain. So that also means that they are more or less like emotional beings walking around, right? And one has to understand that this is one of the biggest reasons why sometimes you see teenagers have meltdowns, they're acting out or acting in, because everything for them is being governed by their emotional brain space, if it makes sense. And that is one of the biggest reasons why sometimes you are unable to understand what's going on, because in one moment you see these teenagers looking all big, sometimes taller than us and full adults, and yet sometimes you wonder that what the hell is going on, why are they behaving the way they are. So it's the neuroscience behind the teenage brain.
Yeah, because mostly teenagers are usually emotional beings, as you have said. They usually act out, they are rebellious, they're trying to figure some things out which are not like making sense to them at that right moment. And I wanted to ask you, since you developed your program, which is helping a lot of teenagers out there, but why did you just decide to do teens? What propelled you? What's that given challenge that you saw that you wanted to empower teenagers out here?
Fundamentally, I think when I started this journey of being an adolescent mental health consultant, it came from a place where I feel that today, as per the statistics, highest amount of suicide cases in teenagers. Okay, it's the number of suicide cases in adolescents have never reached these numbers. Okay, 1 in 14 is either dealing with depression or anxiety. Okay, there are about 75% of teenagers between the age of about 14 to 16 who have at least tried vaping once. Okay, so what does this say? This say that there is a lack in the way we understand, or the world or my generation understands the teenagers around us. A safe space is lacking, right? So when I started this, one of the biggest reason was that to provide them a safe space where they can manage their daily pressures, their academic pressures, the parental pressures, just the self pressures, right? And in that space, help them build mental resilience. However, another part of my program also was to now bring out those kids who are genuinely dealing with some kind of a mental health condition, right? Depression goes unnoticed because depression is most often than not, parents look at a child and think either they're acting in or acting out. So most of the mental health disorders actually show signs in their teenage years. So a bipolar would show sign in their teenage years. A borderline personality would show signs between the age of 18, 19, or even as early as 15, 16. depression shows sign even as early as 10 years or 9 years. Right? So, but usually parents look at it and say, this is the time of identity formation, which is true, and puberty, which is true again, and the emotional part of the brain. So all of this makes people, it's like a camouflage, right? How do we actually do like go granular and understand, okay, no, this is something different. This is not just acting out. This is not just acting in. It's basically probably there's depression here. So the purpose of the program was to also bring these cases to a space where they're recognized, and then we have an intervention. And I work with a team of clinical therapists and psychologists and psychiatrists. And then the moment we see that, we do the preliminary tests, and then they are given a proper medical intervention. So they don't go unnoticed, because most of the suicide cases come from a space of depression, right? So these were my initial thoughts behind creating a program like this, and fingers crossed it's going well.
Yeah, okay. So I had this question, since I'm also in my late teenagehood. I've been also experiencing some kind of seasonal depression, and sometimes you feel like you have social anxiety, and you're like stuck in time trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? Am I doing this right? Am I supposed to have figured it all right now, as my peers are showing in social media? Actually, social media could be one key thing that actually hikes the depression in most youth right now.
Absolutely.
So how do you just tell a young teenager trying to navigate through all this mess? Probably she's trying to be somebody else, like an idol in social media. Probably she's not having much likes in social media, and she's trying to get validation. How do you give like that sense of security to that teenager?
Many questions. Okay, and I'm thinking, what do I start with first? It's okay to know the fundamental fears a teenager deals with is a fear of failure, self-doubt, lack of belief, and that comes into a lack of self-esteem. So these are only 4 things that each of you guys are dealing with: fear of failure, self-doubt, low self-esteem, and the lack of belief in yourself, right? So if you were to ask me one single answer to all of the problems, discover yourself. Right? Now, how do you discover yourself? Because there is no space to discover. We are all conditioned to be a certain way. Whether it's putting a teal mascara, or whether it's wearing yellow flip-flops, you're going to be judged at all times. Okay? Whether it's your hairstyle, whether it's your piercing, whether it's your tattoo, whatever it is, you're going to be judged. Right? You're going to be judged by my generation, and I'm not against my generation, but then we are also conditioned to look at the world with tainted glasses, if it makes sense, right? Having said that, the number one thing every teen should start focusing on is finding yourself. Be curious about yourself. That means you're going to go within, you're not going to go outward. That also means that you're going to be absolutely focused in your lane. Okay, when I say this, now imagine each of you are running a marathon. Okay, and you're running. Now my only request is stay in your lane. And I'll tell you why. Because the moment you're running at your pace and you look left or right is where you've lost it, because you've gone external. And if you're internal and you're only looking at your lane, and then while you're running, you're slowly seeing, okay, I'm a bit better than before. I just went a bit ahead than before. So your constant comparison is with your version of yesterday, your version of last week. So there is no social media then. Am I making sense? That also means, yes, you're going to be looking at social media, but you're also going to have your own parameters of having a daily detox of phone or digital, or screen detox, as I call it, right? When was the last time you actually decided to take a detox from Instagram or Snapchat?
I've never even...
Try that, and it will completely change your life. And this is one thing that I seriously work in my group sessions, in my one-on-one mentoring, that I put them a challenge where I say, how about a Sunday detox from social media? Complete detox. And you'd see the way you feel the moment you step away from there. How many times have you heard that the best of the ideas come in a shower?
A lot of times,
A lot
actually,
of
from
times.
my peers.
Yeah. Why? Take a guess. Why?
Because it's in that time that you are in tune with yourself.
Exactly. That's the time where there is no input, no output. You're not speaking, you're not listening, you're not doing anything, you're just being. So imagine if you created those moments where you're just being, there's so much you'll know about yourself. You'll know about your triggers, you'll know about your traumas, you'll know about why you behave the way you behave. And that's where you first start becoming your best friend, by discovering yourself. The moment you're your best friend, you're happy with yourself. You're happy with yourself, you don't have grudges about the world. And then you do not look at others with an expectation that you should be liked, because you're in love with yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a long journey. It sounds all rosy when I say it, but it's not. It is a long, long journey. People, it's a whole lifetime you'll take just to fall in love with yourself. But when you do that, you genuinely don't need anyone. You're in your own beautiful space, and then only like-minded spirits you attract, so no toxic friendships.
Yeah, actually, it's not always apples and roses in discovering yourself, because I'm in that journey too. But there are times that come where I feel so messed up, and then I just start comparing myself to that other person.
And you've just you've just changed the lane.
Yeah, and I've just changed the lane.
So how do you? So it's interesting, Clara. How do you find a switch? How do you find a switch where you constantly, you're going to do that. You're going to look at someone else and you're going to like feel, oh my God, and it will drain your energy.
Yeah.
How do you find a switch where it makes you, look, I just changed the lane. Okay, how about I ground myself? How about, look at me. How about I start writing and saying, okay, Clara, let's look at you today. Well, how were you 3 months ago? What changes have you got in yourself? That comes from journaling. So daily journaling is the second thing. While you explore yourself, you journal. Write one sentence. Start a journaling practice, which can be just simple. It could be just one sentence a day. And that sentence could be, I am grateful, my day was great. Or, oh my God, my life sucks. That's still okay. Because you're still putting it out. But when you're writing that, you're like, okay, let me just rant and write, okay, my day sucks, my life sucks. Da, da, da. Well, but the fact that I'm journaling, I'm a bit better than I was last month.
Yeah, exactly.
So the more you journal, you're discovering yourself. And your only goal, in fact, one of the best things I make my mentees or the youth that I work with, I make them do is make posters. I make them do posters which says, either you can grow, or be comfortable. You want growth or comfort. If you're feeling messy and you're staying there within and you're not going external and not like, like spitting out stuff, that means you're uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable and you're cringing, you definitely are growing. And you have to write that around. You have to put things on your walls which says those kind of quotes. Be in your lane. I mean, am I better than last month? Am I a great version than I was yesterday? And just measure your progress to your past self. Even to your morning self. Forget about like yesterday or a month ago or 6 months ago. To your morning self. So that way you are driving yourself to choose awkward. Every time you choose awkward, you're being courageous. Every time you're being courageous, you're going to be uncomfortable. Every time you're uncomfortable, you're growing.
Actually, there's something that you've mentioned about placing posters. Actually, right now in my college room, I have a wall of affirmations. Actually, yes, I've put a picture of myself, a big picture of myself on the wall, and then I've written some affirmations like, you are unique, you are perfectly imperfect, you are strong, brave, spiritual, like...
Well done, Clara. And so you're already doing that.
Yeah, I actually wanted to do that because I felt like that sudden change in me going to college, the personalities that you're meeting, the kind of things that are approaching you that you weren't prepared for mentally. So I just had to say that I have to have like a program that's going to flip my switch whenever I fall back.
Absolutely. I would even add one more word, Clara. Start your day with an intention. Right? That means that when you wake up in the morning and you finish your, of course, I have this whole routine which I actually drive teenagers to start is wake up and the first thing you do is make your bed. Why? Because when you're making your bed, it's energy movement. Energy movement is stagnant energy release. So whatever stressors you're holding, whatever doubts you're holding is released first thing in the morning when you make your bed. Start your morning with after your morning routine. Ensure that you take a fruit. Why? Because again, fruit releases happy hormones. Okay, it could be an apple, it could be, so you, irrespective of your trauma, irrespective of your upbringing, irrespective of your environment, crap is going to happen all around.
Yeah.
Okay, so how are you going to become smarter and work towards releasing all the happy hormones through actions that are going to release that? Right? So you're going to have food releases happy hormones. Okay, snuggles, cuddles, hugs, I love you, connections, social connections releases oxytocin, happy hormone.
Yeah.
Okay, exercise. Okay, just jumping, put loud music, put Shakira, dance, dance, dance. That's endorphins, happy hormones. And then look forward to your day. When you put an intention, when you make goals, that's dopamine release because you're looking forward to something. Even if it's a cup of coffee, even if it's a date with yourself, you look forward to it, that's dopamine. So you have all of this in your power. You need to work towards putting actions, placing actions, doing those things that releases those happy hormones. Because teenage life is tough. It is tough. People are going to judge you. Crap is happening all around you. Let's accept it. And then one of the things you need to always do, even if you don't do anything else, guys, one thing you need to do is look in the mirror, look into your eyes. And I'll tell you why. Every time you look into someone's eyes, you're actually connecting with their soul. Like I'm connecting with your soul right now, and we can feel it. So look into your eyes and just look into your eyes, look in the mirror and say, I believe in you. The more you do that, internally you're building your self-esteem. Internally you're building your belief in yourself. And then when there can either be hope and belief or there can be fear. It can't coexist. So every day you do that. Imagine, just do it for 21 days and see how your self-esteem changes. Let me know about it.
Yeah. Okay, and I'd love that you said that all the things that are happening right now in the teenage years are normal.
Absolutely normal, guys. First of all, one thing it's very important that I tell now. I know that the adults in your life are pushing you to know everything. The adults in your life would at 16 tell you, "Yay, what courses are you taking? Which university are you applying to?" Dude, I'm just 16. Give me a break. So I'm going to tell that, no, you are not supposed to have figured it all out. It's absolutely okay to not know. It's absolutely okay to say, I don't know yet. And ask the adults in your life, what's your passion? What's your purpose in life? And trust me, most of us don't know. So it's not fair that when your prefrontal cortex is not completely developed, there's an expectation of sorts to know everything. Like how? How? So it's absolutely okay to not know, but that also means while you're discovering yourself, while you're trying to understand what do you love the most, one of the things to all teenagers out there, I'll tell you, is invest time in knowing what can you do for about 4 to 5 hours and not even realize that so many hours have passed. Okay, not Fortnite, not PS4, not being on Snapchat or Instagram, but something which is purposeful. It could be tennis, it could be guitar, it could be singing, it could be painting, it could be just working with electronics and you're like, oh my God, I built this and it's been 3 hours and I didn't even realize it. That is what would give you joy. So then it also means that anything that you love doing for hours and gives you joy, you've just got to find one place in the world that will pay you for it. And that's where you found your purpose. But that doesn't happen overnight. That also means that you're going to take chances. That also means you're going to explore so many new things. Today you may love squash, but maybe a year from now you love football. How do you know? You've got to take chances. You've got to explore. You've got to be awkward. You've got to get out of your comfort zone. Keep doing new things that explores those boundaries and helps you meet yourself.
Okay, and this last point. In my psychology class, we're usually told that we're supposed to negotiate our stage. So what are we supposed to do as teenagers right now? Instead of panicking about our 25 years, what will I have enough money? But then will I have it all figured out? That's it. So what are the things that we're supposed to do as teenagers that we're not supposed to feel awkward about? We're just supposed to live. Yeah, there's some people who are so pressured. I meet with a lot of youth that are so pressured to have it like figured out by now because their peers in social media, having money, having all these type of styles, having it all.
And they've just shifted the lane.
Yeah, again.
They just shifted the lane. The moment you're looking at the world and then looking at yourself, you've lost the plot. So first and foremost, and I understand that my generation of parents, or my parents' generation also, they did really well was compare our children, right? And that's one of the biggest no-no. So if there is any parent out listening, I would really remind you, do not compare your kids, because every time you compare, the first message you get is, you're not good enough. And imagine if your child is just 4 and you've compared him to a cousin or a sibling or your times, the first message you're giving your 4-year-old is, you're not good enough. And that continues all the way into adulthood, and that is the reason why there is doubt, there is fear of failure, there is self-esteem issues. So the first thing you do is do not compare. Second thing you do is do not judge them. So I'm going to tell all the parents here, if they're listening, do not judge your children. Every time you're judging them, they are stepping behind and not sharing things because they feel that you wouldn't understand that. And number 3 is, do not have toxic expectations of them, right? So if your child is a C student, do not expect them to jump into a A bandwagon, because it's not an easy jump, guys. Come on. So do not have these 3 things. But that also means to teenagers that you are looking at the adults and having the same expectations of you. So you, for example, Clara, would be having toxic expectations of yourself. To have figured it all out. How can you figure it all out? I'll again say that at 18, 19. Of course, the pressures would get to you because you're looking at the world around you. You want to be someone, but that someone has a very different journey. We don't even know what they're dealing with. And how many social media influencers and celebrities we've seen who look perfectly okay, and 2 days later we come to know they've committed, or they are dealing with substance abuse, right? So one of the things that I'm going to ask you to do is focus at all times on look versus feel. All right? Ask yourself, am I looking good? Do I have to do this because it looks good? Or do I do this because it feels good? And a lot of times we show up because it looks good. It doesn't feel good. A lot of times we show up because it looks good. I have seen children take medicine as a career because it looks good. Because maybe then when they were 8, they may have said, I want to be a doctor, and then got stuck, and they're like, oh my God, if I don't be a doctor, world is going to end. No, it's not. And there's so many career options opened up today for you guys. Like the world is you can sit here and study and do some degree from, I don't know which university, from which part of the world, and you can still get your degree. So the world is so open for you. You've got to grab that without the pressure of you've got to be something. You just got to be. You just have to be a human being. You do not have to be a human doing. So one of my most favorite quotes, which I've translated it in my language to make it fun and funky for my teenagers, is a quote from the book Power of Now. It's Eckhart Tolle is one of the spiritual gurus. He says the power of now. Okay, the book is the power of now, and it says be in the now. So I always tell my children, be in the Hamna. Hamna is the present. Hamna in my language means the present. Now, when you're saying that, what do teenagers do when they are super pressured and they're having a panic attack, is first thing realize in this moment, Clara, you're absolutely okay, looking gorgeous, doing this thing. Your life is awesome. In this moment, your life is awesome. Our brain has a way to constantly keep you in the past or in the future. Constantly. Even in this moment, while I'm talking to you, my mind may go to the next 12 o'clock session or whatever, if it makes sense, right? What does that do? That gives me anxiety already. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? Or it makes me think about my past, and it makes me realize, oh my God, I failed that day. Today it's going to be a chaotic day. Do you see what happens? So if I say, okay, let's just breathe. In this moment, I'm perfect. Both of us are looking gorgeous. We're right here having this fun conversation. Life is perfect. Does that make sense? So the only thing I'll tell you, your switch is reminding yourself the power of now. In this moment, life is perfect. And the next moment, we'll take it as it comes. And I know this is not simple, but it is absolute practice. The more you journal, the more you meditate, even if it is for 1 minute or 2 minutes, the more you are in solitude with yourself. The more you're internal, the more you're in your lane, the more you're awkward, you choose awkward. All of this is going to align you towards your best version, right? But it starts from just and one of the tools I'm telling the world, in fact, whoever is listening, is there is this free meditation app called Insight Timer. Insight Timer is a free meditation app. Download it, and it's just like YouTube. All right, you can actually choose to meditate for 1 minute, and you have like thousands of different guided meditation clips. Please use that. Meditation sounds overwhelming, it sounds intimidating, but you just have to put your headphones and just listen to that. It's just as good as listening to music, and there's no harm. I guarantee you, it rewires your brain into a, it actually completely changes your neural pathways when you meditate, and it enhances your focus, your memory. It helps you be in the moment. It has hordes of benefits. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Bini. That was so informative. And what I'd like to tell my audience is that, especially the younger ones, my fellow teenagers, is that we don't have to have it all figured out right now. We just need to breathe. It's all about the power of now, just as Bini has said. Just focus on your lane. Don't look at anybody else. Probably you admire them, but don't follow whatever they're doing, because we are all unique beings. That's what I usually believe. Each one of us has a unique power. We have a unique power within us. As I usually say, that we are spirits which have invaded our physical body. So it means that we have power within us, and we can actually do whatever we want when we harness it right. And we should also negotiate our stage right now. We are teenagers. We should live life. Stop following all those pressures that you're supposed to have made it by 30. Just be in the now, be in the moment. We're not assured of the future, but the most beautiful thing is right now. Right now I'm here, I'm having a wonderful session with Bini. I'm trying to transform you guys to have better lives, you too, because I'm also on the journey. As I usually say again, that I'm here for your transformation. And I'm not that perfect, because I'm learning. I'm always learning every single day. I usually break down, but remind myself who I am by the affirmative walls that I've talked about, which have different affirmations. I usually try to remind myself the power I have and what I can achieve. So you should try that too, because it will help. Remember that failure is something that it will just challenge us to grow. Failure isn't a bad thing, because when you fail, you'll know that next time I'll do something different. So when you fail, don't beat yourself up. You're on the right track. You'll make it, and I'll make it too, because that's what I believe. You just know that you have to be in the present and just be. So that's it for this session. On our next session, we'll be talking about different topics like academic pressures, and yeah, I'll be here with you guys and helping you, transforming you to be better. And that's it for today and this episode. Bye.